Welcome, everyone. Sorry, we're just gonna give a couple more minutes for people to show up. Um, it's a very good day. It's almost to the beginning of summer, so we have a lot of interesting things today, especially pertaining to farming. So with that, we'll give a few more minutes for people to show up. And thank you all for coming, and look forward to everyone's to be here. So and anybody that has any questions, we'll leave it to the end. So with that, yeah, let's just give a few minutes for people to jump in, and we'll start pretty soon. So, but yes, anybody that's coming in, we're gonna give till about 12:05. Uh, about 12:05, enough time for people to get in, get settled, just letting people find their way in. But yeah, but welcoming everybody to this event. For everyone that yeah, thank you all for coming through. We'll just give everybody less than 3 minutes to check in, and we'll keep everyone going.
Hello.
Hey, Nolan.
Hi.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. We're just getting everybody just a few more minutes to get in.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Cool.
Right.
So are you gonna go ahead and do the slideshow or just pick pictures from there?
We'll do the slideshow first and see how that works out.
Okay.
I sent it to Keatlin so she might have a better stronger internet to be
Okay.
able to share it. So I just want to make sure that it's there.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let me see here.
Okay. Caitlin, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. We still have more people, or do we?
I'm here, but I don't know where I am.
People are joining in, but
Okay. Let's go. I know Nolan has a lot to share, or I know some people are going to have questions. So, what I wanted to do was to everybody, if you click on the chat box, if you want to introduce yourselves, please put in the chat box. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put it in the chat box or save your questions to the end. We only have an hour, so but there's a lot to be shared from my experience. I actually my first experience of dryland farming came from Noland. Nolan was my mentor and teacher during the apprenticeship program, and everything that you see in the photos um, are Ajo CSA apprentices, as well as other organizations got to work on the field and harvest, the field, or even plant. There's a lot of people that go into this programming, but we also want to. We also. So if anybody, just some ground rules. I want to let everybody know that the presenter is only willing to share as much as you can. You also can get information from him if you want to learn a little bit more about dryland farming or get more information. You can definitely put your um, you can make arrangements for contacts through the chat, or you have email access. Please also, we would like to people disclose if they are um, writing a thesis or anything, and academically, we please want you to disclose that, because we want this purpose of this um, workshop. So let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Sterling Johnson. I am co-director of Ajo Center for Sustainable Agriculture. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, started back in 2008, incorporated in 2014, 2013, and I should say, excuse me, 2013, and has grown into a very big nonprofit. We are currently running a apprenticeship program in partnership with Alexander Papancho Memorial Farm. Nolan Johnson and Terrell Johnson are the managers of the farm and caretakers of their farm. We also we also run we're currently running an internship program during this time as well. Working with youth. We also run a food pantry. We also are in partnership with the Farming Food Working Group, where we actually um, started the Autumn Farmers Market. But the importance of today, really, what we are striving to, what we're always doing and striving to do is to um, pick up our culture, pick up our human thought. No, farming was a really big portion of our lives, to the point where it almost became our name. You know, bean eaters. Papago. So, and it was it was something that sustained our lives over thousands of years, and just within a century, those practices were almost gone. Through a lot of through a lot of things that were going on with the nation, with the government, with outside sources, but we are here today. Now that's what we are glad to be here. Now um, we're putting our culture together, and this climate smart. We want people to know that climate smart um, agricultural um, practices are our traditions. It's something that's really amazing that doesn't happen very, very much. We are so grateful that we get to that we get to show share this knowledge with people, share the practice with the people, and learn from each other. That this with this dryland farming or option farming is being practiced not just in one farm but several farms, and we want and uses nothing but what Mother Nature gives you, and we're so grateful for that. We're so grateful for that those practices that we have, and we're learning new things every year. And um, I'll hand this over. I'm gonna go ahead and hand this over to Nolan Johnson here. Nolan, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about introduce everyone to Poncho Farm. And Caitlin, can you go ahead and start off with the first slide?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Noland Johnson. I'm the farm manager for Alexander Poncho Memorial Farms. And the picture right now is my grandfather, Alexander Poncho. And I don't have no memories of the farm being there. I remember hauling water over there for cattle. He had cattle in there. And those are the only memories I have of driving off of the paved road into the desert. And there was a big grove of mesquite trees. We had to duck under the truck cab to pass them, or otherwise you'll get clotheslined by the mesquite trees. But then it opened up, and I didn't realize it until I got a little older that the community where the farm is in a flood zone. And I never paid attention to the big berms around the community. And it wasn't until I got older and I realized that the reason why they're there is because the floodwaters that are going through the community. And when Colic was established, or the ordinance was a... Can you hear me? Are we okay? Hello?
I can hear you, Nolan. Anybody that might have issues, please let us know in the chat box. But if anything, just give us a thumbs up using the reactions if you can hear us.
Okay. And then so the community was a farming community. So in the past, there were really two seasonal villages for a community. There was a winter community, and then there was a summer community where during the summer they come down to the floodplains and farm. And the only place where people were identified as having land was in their farms. So a lot of these communities in the flood zones are where communities recognize families with their own plot of land for farming. So that's why on the reservation, you have all of these communities in flood zone areas And within those flood zone areas, all of the families had their own plot of land to farm. So this is where my grandfather had his family plot, and my mom and my aunts have stories of how they would go out there and have to go through what the washes to get to their fields to plant. And back in 2002, my brother, Terrell Johnson, who was one of the co-founders of Tohono O'odham Community Action, they sought after grants to reestablish traditional flood farming, auction farming, and to start growing out traditional foods and reestablishing our heritage, our heirloom seeds for the purpose of planting on a traditional farm using traditional flood farm methods. So back in 2002, I had applied for a job with the program, and I didn't have any intentions of becoming a farmer or let alone managing a farm. But I just slid into that position as time went on. And now it's been 20 years now that I'm still at it, and I'm still learning. I still lose crops, and I think with the help of a lot of people that have come through the program, not only through the Tohono O'odham Community Action, but Ajo CSA and other summer youth programs, and the people that have volunteered to come out, and students that have volunteered to come out, or that came with the class from the school, and people who bump into me at the stores and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you guys, and I can't imagine you guys out there in the heat, and I know it's hard work out there growing these crops." All of those people and all of those prayers have helped us and carried us and kept us going from back when I started in 2002. So people that just have us in their thoughts and in their prayers have helped the farm, Alexander Ponce Memorial Farm, up to this point be where we're at. And since then we have accumulated equipment and seed and materials to keep this ideal going, that growing traditional foods and growing out your heirloom crops, your heirloom seeds is important. And that is just naturally, like you said, is just naturally climate smart. We've been doing it for thousands of years, tribes, and not only just indigenous tribes, but just farmers in general. When you have limited resources and you use what you got, you kind of just naturally are gonna plant smart. Not only planting, cultivating, and irrigating traditional crops, but also harvesting and taking advantage of the wild harvest of food and animal in the seasons. So living in the seasons, I think, is just naturally climate smart for whatever people or from whatever tribe or non-tribal peoples they just naturally do it. It's part of culture, and that's how cultures and traditions are developed. It's just naturally doing climate smart agriculture and keeping up your where you're from, the sustainability of just doing things the way they should be, taking in mind being stewards of the land and helping manage the land, but doing things that you may just be doing for your purpose and not knowing that there's a bigger picture that you're doing in taking care of the land and doing things unconsciously that help not only a person individually with their wellness, but the whole community and the land included. So these are just some of the black and white pictures that we had gotten from my grandparents, and this is in the fields that we do now. And back in 2002, it was covered with mesquite in a lot of areas that we went back to clear out, and other programs, the Pima Maricopa Irrigation Project, Native Seed Search, were able to give us some of our seeds that we started out. you can go ahead and continue with the slides. And this is a picture of my aunts in the field. Go ahead. The one on the right was my mom, and I believe the one on the left is my mother. But you can see the kind of floods that went through the flood zone there, and the oxygen. The definition of oxygen is at the mouth of the wash. So and it's pretty confusing if you go out there in the time where there's not the monsoons. It's dusty, and some people may think, how can you grow crops? And what do they mean? It's in the flood zone. It's dry and it's hot and it's dusty. It's hard to imagine, foots of water, sheet flooding to get in that area. But when you see it, it definitely opened my eyes to the possibility of being able to grow something. Because when I started with the clearing and the fencing, I was like, how can something grow out here? What are we going to do? Are we going to drill a well and pump water out there or put in a water line? Because I definitely didn't see farming being possible out there until I actually got to be out there and see the floods go through there during the monsoon. Otherwise, I was like, how is this going to work? Okay. This kind of sheet flooding that we get there now is basically the same thing as we got out back when my mom was, that picture that we saw. Go ahead. This is the original 4 acres, and what TOCA had done was they took my grandparents out there to have my grandmother, I believe it was my grandmother, they took out there to show them around and to show them where exactly they're farmed, because we have a total of about 60 acres available to us on the farm, and we've only we're able to right now is put in the infrastructure and till the soil and fence it up, and actually we're actually only using maybe about 2/3 of that right now, so we still got 1/3 of the area in the family plot that's available that we haven't gotten to yet. But we're starting with 4 acres on a six acre plot. It was kind of like, well, where do we start? And so I was glad that my brother and some of the TOCA staff were able to take my grandmother out there.
Next on Caitlin. Nolan, are you there? Caitlin, is Nolan on?
Yeah, I still see iPhone on here, but I can't hear. Oh, I think he may have just dropped off.
Okay. I will wait for Nolan to come back on, but yeah, I know this story because it was something we had to learn. Learn your history, that's learn the areas of where you're from. That's paying respects and honoring the people that not just own the land, but the people that passed on the knowledge. And for me, this farm started us as Nolan didn't get to mention. Like Nolan didn't get to mention, they also ran a really big industrial farm out in Papago Farms, which is known as Papago Farms. So for some of you guys aren't familiar, or those who are familiar with the reservation, it is located next to Stanchudak in the Chukukuk district. For some of you guys that may not know where that's at, if you look on Google, there's a village called Bisan Moa, which translates to Bison Head Village. They apparently found a bison head and dug up. So they just started calling it bison maw. So bison, we have a word for bison in autumn. But just about less than 15 miles straight on that road, if you Google it and you go to your maps and you go straight from that bison maw, there's a big field about I say about 60 or even more acres, and that's all pumped. And that, and it's good that we have access to water, but man, did it cost money to pump water. Um, that that water was very hard it to maintain, but it gave everyone beans. It gave everyone a chance to have beans, but when it costs you money to run a pump to irrigate the field, then it becomes very unsustainable. So with the apprenticeship and the internship program during the summer, Noland moved the equipment to Garlic, where we now started learning how to do dryland farming, and that's where these practices started to become more visible and more visible and also more recognizable because you could see it in person. Alien, is he back?
I don't see him on the call yet.
So with that, it became very crucial. Trust me, when we started, we had so many different ways to plant. We actually used the conventional farming, which was the row planting, which ends up being more of the go-to method of planting the dryland field. It does work to a point. The fields do need to be leveled, and that takes time. And mind you, this farm only runs on rainwater. So there's a catch basement, and for some the autumns that don't know what catch basement is, it's a wall or the pond in our language, in the autumn language. It's used to capture water, the runoff, and it's used to capture the rain, the watershed to contain and also use for later use because in Arizona here, it's very hard to know when it's going to rain, and you can see the rain. And in any other place in the U.S., you can see where the rain from a distance, but you can never tell where it's going to go. Sometimes it might be heading towards your way and fizzle out, or it might veer off to the south, or might veer up to the north, or and you might get it at full impact, middle of the rain or at the edge of the rain. Those are the kind of things you don't see. It's one of those things that we continue to work towards and learn from because it's really working with whatever Mother Nature gives you. So,
hey, hello, I'm back. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you now. Everyone give a thumbs up if we can hear Noland.
Okay, you want me to just continue where I was, or I don't know what you guys were
Yeah.
doing like when I checked out.
I just picked up where you left off, but yeah, if anything, you can just start where you left off.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a little bit history of the farm. What I really like about the program that Toga did was they incorporated an elder element, a youth element, um, basket weaving element, the traditional arts of the autumn, um, and foods, um, cooking, how to cook these foods, and um, developing curriculum for schools around traditional foods, around traditional wild harvest of our foods here. So I think it was really like introducing living a season of harvesting traditional wild foods. And when it was time to get ready to plant, going out there and getting ready, getting the fields ready, getting your seeds ready, and planting. And then so when you're done planting and irrigating, and when the monsoon rains, before the monsoon rains, you would pick the fruit of the saguaro cactus, the baythutch, to help for the rains, to help call the rains. All of that was done in chronological order. And what I saw when COVID hit, and I took a little break from the program, was that when COVID hit and I wasn't working at the time, is that I kind of naturally wanted to do things while they were coming. When it was time to pick the cholla buds, the gerodum, me and my nephews, we went out, and my daughter, we went out and we picked, and then we just got done with the cholla bud season, and now there's a break between that to where we're getting the fields ready, and we've already started planting. And one of the reasons that we're able to plant without the monsoon rain is because we have 3 ponds that were built through our NRCS program, our EQIP program, that we have water. We store water, and there's one pond that keeps water year round. So we're able to get a jump start on the season. And one of the methods that we use to help control the water and use as little water as we can is through our berming with our equipment, where we run a border disc, and it keeps water in a small area, so we don't have to go outside. And as soon as the ground gets wet, there's pretty soon there's going to be wild weeds coming through. Amaranth is what we have out there, and some Bermuda grass is becoming a problem. But if we keep the water channeled in the area that we're going to be planting, we don't got to worry about that too much. And one good thing that I would like to do more is to get a jump start on the season, is that once the plants are established and the summer monsoon rains come, is that there isn't too much of a problem with the weeds coming in, because our crops that we already got started, they're already overpowered the weeds that are going to come in. So less weeding for us. And I think that's just one of the ideas of climate smart irrigation, is not to push too much of your resources where you're out of your element, and you have limited resources, is don't push too much outside of it. I know with these, and I benefit from it, everybody benefits from it, but eating things and growing things out of season, it's great to have, but you got to think about the consequences of it. These big farms are pumping water out of the ground, and we're depleting our water wells, our water underneath us. So I think that's just one thing that I like about our farm, is that we're using the water that we've stored. And our big crop, our main stop is the beans, is that we don't grow that until the monsoon rains come. And when they come, we've been blessed and lucky enough to get those rains that come in when they need to be coming in throughout the season. And that's when we do the whole field, we got about 40 acres that we do primarily of beans. But this year, we haven't really focused on the squashes and the corns and the melons. And one of the reasons was our seed bank, which I think is important. And when I started, I mentioned that these programs and these sources of seeds that were given to us because of the startup of our program is that those seeds slowly depleted. One of the reasons was I didn't have any farming experience before I started. And so getting these heirloom seeds and not really knowing the seasons of when's the best time to be putting them in, before the summer monsoon rains or after or during, is that just trying out with these heirloom seeds, these limited seeds, I depleted some of our seed bank. So fortunately with the Rattlebox farm, we're able to go back and get some of the seeds that I ran out of, these heirloom seeds that I ran out of when I started, and we're able to regrow these seeds to build up our seed bank. So one of the things I want to stress today is that the importance of holding some seed back, but not only holding some seed back, but giving those seeds back to the person that gave them to you, but giving seeds out to other people so that one person isn't holding those seeds, that you greater your chance of that seed surviving and multiplying is if you share those seeds with other people. So that way I don't deplete, or if I lose my seed bank, I know if I gave some to Ajo program or the high school agriculture program, or some of my friends that are growing, that they have seeds that we can rely on. So that, and then one of the things that's hurting a lot of the farmers and gardeners here is that the animals are getting to them. There's a farm, Bill Weiss farm, that's north of us, a mile away, and he drilled a well and he got an equip program. Is that the animals around there eat up his crops before he can harvest them. So I think we're spreading our chances of becoming a success if we just share our seeds and make sure that those seeds are pure and don't have a chance of mixing with other seeds, and that we have that and we share that and keep it going, which is something that I knew about when I started, but I never really reassured those seeds that they were going to keep going. Once they were depleted, and we're in the process of now of tracking down some of the seeds that I've heard about and never seen, and some of the seeds that were given to me that I don't have stock now. So it's important to save your heirloom seeds and to share. And this is one of the ponds that we had built for us, which gives us an advantage of starting a season early or extending a season. Okay. One of the things that we haven't done since COVID was the program organized community events, and one of the 3 events that we had normally was to start off the season when I mentioned the harvesting of the paitach, the fruit of the saguaro cactus, and we use that to make wine and jams to help call the rains. And I think that was important for the program and I appreciate the program and other people and the communities. Some of these communities are hosting harvesting camps and to teach the young people and to have the elders teach the young people of how to harvest the paitach and to help, because you're helping to call the rains and to bring that in. So one of the events that we had was they hosted a paitach harvest camp, and the next thing that we had was a blessing day, a seed blessing day and planting day. After the monsoon rains come, the paitach is harvested, and then the summer monsoon rains are called and they come, is the planting. Generally, our season doesn't start because we rely on the rainwater. It doesn't start until the summer monsoon rains come. So, and we irrigate after we plant after the summer monsoon rains come through the fields, and we plant. So one of another main event that we used to have was a planting blessing day, and the last thing that we would have and invite people to come to was a harvest celebration, when all of the crops are harvested and we share them. I know that's true with many tribes and peoples, is that's important, is that you share your crops. So one of the things that I was taught was that your first crops that you bring in, give it away to elders especially, but you give it away so that in turn you'll get a good crop for next season. And those are the three main public events that we had. But we have interns that come in through the Ajo CSA program, and right now it's the school's out, so I have my nephews coming in, and what is happening is that I know they have their time where they want to take a break from school and relax and stay home. But what some of my nephews are doing is asking me if they can come help, which is great. And I think that's going to be great for a lot of youth, is that now that they're seeing that what's out there, and there's more growers and there's more fruit harvesters, is that there's not only an opportunity for my family and my friends to harvest, and I buy from them, buy some of the gerodum and the prickly pear and the paita, just that they have an opportunity to make some money, a reward for them going out there and harvesting. But I know it's true for some families, and my family in particular is an opportunity to make some money. I know that's not a priority for a lot of tribes and other people, but it helps. It helps. And one of the things that I done since I started was I was preaching that this is something that you can do, and this is something that you can make money, to help you make money. But I never practiced it. It wasn't until I left Toka and COVID hit was that I actually put my words into practice. I was telling people that this is what they can do, and I never really did it myself. I mean, I was getting paid through the program, but when I left the program and the program ended and COVID hit, is that I was actually doing that. That was how I was making my money. Is I was going out there and harvesting the wild foods, and then I was going out there and preparing the fields, so it could help me out to make some money to pay my bills, and to bringing along my nephews and my family and some friends and former staff members of the program to come and help. It's just a good feeling to see that there's people other than yourself that are interested, genuinely interested in what you're doing, and seeing the importance of these foods and keeping them alive, and the importance of sharing the knowledge, and an opportunity to work with youth and elders outside of the video game and watching TV and doing all that we like to do. Is that some time spent out in the field is a great stage to where you get some of that mentorship, and you get some of that much needed reaction between youth and elders, and it just makes me feel good to be able to share that, and to see that my family and some of the others are seeing that, and that just naturally happens. And it's just another bonus and blessing that I get to receive when doing this for 20 years. And in this picture is the late Danny Lopez. He was very instrumental in teaching the agriculture, the culture to youth. I remember he would come to my class when I was in preschool and elementary school. He would come to my class and he'd sing songs to us and tell us stories and legends during the winter, and tell us how things were, and how we needed to be, and the values that we needed to partake, and the roles that we needed to take as being young men and young women, our roles and our responsibilities as later on, once we get older and having families, our responsibilities of teaching that. And the little girl there was my daughter, Isabella Johnson, and I really like this picture. And this was one of our blessing days at Papago Farms, and my little daughter was running around, and she wasn't supposed to be in the picture. We were giving Danny Lopez the time to do what he needed to do to bless our fields and to, teach us how to do it. And my daughter was running around, and she got away from us, and she went up to Danny, and I think for a little bit, for that moment, we were like, "What is she doing over there? Somebody let her go. They didn't catch her." But I think it was appropriate, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to allow that chance for youth and elder to get along, and instead of trying to keep them away, to let them do the things, is that we need to introduce each other and give them that stage to where they can share that relationship with not only themselves, between an elder and a youth, but with agriculture and the plants that we have there. So, I let that be a lesson to me, is that we need to give space for youth and elder and everyone else to grow and to experience whatever you're doing, experience that time together. Thanks. And this is just another one of the public events that we had.
Okay, Nolan, thank you for sharing. Go ahead and just go through the pictures, Caitlin. Yeah, I much appreciate everything. There's a lot of work that goes into this, especially you saw the picture of harvesting with the burros or the mules, flood farming. This is what it looks like. But no, and yeah, if anything, man, this what's what does climate smart agriculture mean to you, and what does auction farming mean for you, personally?
Climate smart is, to me, initially I thought about, adjusting to the changes in climate. And like I mentioned in the beginning, was that just being of limited resources and limited knowledge about how to auction farm, you kind of just naturally do, for me, what I would define as climate smart agriculture is using what you have. And if you don't have that much, if you don't have a lot of resources such as money to buy equipment, money to buy fuel, and you don't have a lot of water. I mean, it costs to pump water, it costs to haul water, it costs to, even with us storing water, we still need to pump it out of the pond. That cost. And if you don't have that stuff, climate smart is just using whatever you have in limited resources to the best efficient way you can do it. To me, that's what I would define as climate smart. And that, to me, that's what that we've been doing ever since I started. Is we have limited resources, and whatever resources we have, we're going to be thankful for what we have, and we're going to use it to the best as we can. And so that's, not being as wasteful as when we pump the water, making sure that it gets to the plants that we need to get it, and not pushing our seasons. Like I said, there are other things to do in the off season. We have seasons of wild harvest, and other tribes have seasons of hunting. So all of those come together. So not pushing your resources and giving them time to catch up. And I think that's true with ourselves too. Is when I started out, I was young. I had ambition. I had my goal. I'm going to do this, and I had a seven-day work day, 14-hour days sometimes. And when we used to hire people, and we had groups coming in, it was like, say goodbye to your family. We're going to be in the field from sun up to sundown, and we're going to be there 7 days a week. And you're going to miss out on holidays. You're going to miss out on family events, and that was great. And in the beginning, maybe that was necessary because we were building infrastructure. 20 years later, we have some of that infrastructure in, and we have some of the equipment, and we have equipment that kind of frees up a lot of the labor intense work, and it's still there, but we have a lot of free time. And now that we have have some resources that I didn't have to begin with, is that I have time to harvest the wild foods. One of the biggest things that I do now is the harvesting of the cholla buds and the paitach, the fruit of the saguaro cactus, and the prickly pear. But also there's downtime, making sure I don't do 14 hours, 7 hours a day, 7 days a week deal no more. We start at 6 and we make sure we get out of the fields. If we don't need to be there, we're out of there by noontime at the latest. So then I have that downtime. Then I have the opportunity now. I have the freedom now to go when it's cool in the morning, and if I need to go back in the evening, go and work in the evening. But now that I'm getting older, I feel now that I need to just wind down and give myself time and not push things so much anymore. And I think that's important. Is that don't, maybe there are times that we do it and it needs to get done, but allow for that time to where you can rest and recuperate. I'm a much better person when I do that.
Amen, dog.
Yeah, thank you, Nolan. Right now, we want to leave some time for questions for Nolan. If anybody, we have enough time for maybe 3 or 4 questions. So, if you have questions, please raise your hand or
A
speak,
question.
or if anything, you can put your question in the chat box as well.
I have a question. I'm Cecile Gonton from the National Museum of the American Indian. Nolan may have discussed this, and I may have missed it. But what are the foods that you're actually growing? Can you tell us what they are again?
Right now we have the autumn squash that we just planted just last week, and today we did some seedlings. We have yellow meated watermelon, miro. We have autumn blue corn. We have autumn sorghum, sugarcane. We have there's a pink butter bean, and there's a black and white cow bean, a uxmoon. We have itoy onions, wild onions. And that's what we have right now. We still are planning on, like I said, we wait for monsoon seasons to start when we do the tepper beans, the pao, the brown and white pao. And later in the season, we'll do 60-day corn. But right now we have the blue corn, so I don't want to have a chance of mixing it. So I'll wait until maybe late August or beginning of August to plant the 60-day corn.
That's a very impressive number of vegetables. Can you talk just a little bit more about doing dry farming with corn? Because I think that's something that people might not realize what an incredible thing that is, to be able to plant corn in dry environments.
Yeah, I think there's 2 reasons why our corn is successful. One of them is our soil. We have a lot of clay in it, and the clay is hard to work when you're trying to dig a hole for the plant. It's hard, and you almost need like a digging bar to break it down. But the benefit of it is that it holds water for a long time, and that's the reason why our ponds are sealing up, is because of that heavy clay that's at the bottom, and it's sealing the bottom of it'll hold water, which is true in our field. Is those heavy clays that are hard to work with, but once they get saturated with water, they hold water for a long time, and then it looks dry on top, and it's hard, but underneath, if you dig down, there's still moisture. So, and another thing is the crops that we have, our 60-day corn. By the time when you plant it, and by the time it comes out of the ground, sprouts out of the ground, you can harvest it in 60 days. Which I'm not familiar with other corns, but I'm told that that's pretty fast, pretty fast turnaround from when it germinates, coming out of the ground, to when you can harvest it. And I think that's one of the half of the reasons why these crops that we have, which is true with other tribes, is their crops, they're are suited for their environment. And down here in the Sonoran Desert, a lot of these plants are suited very well for this type of environment. And I know some of the things that we don't do well, we're in areas where there's, softer soils, do better with other crops. But I think that's one of the things that's great about our area is a lot of people have told me that they'd rather get seed from us, from our traditional foods, our heirloom seeds, because they know that out there at Poncho Farms, the land is some of the hardest ground in there. Is that so? If they can grow it at Alexander Poncho Memorial Farm, then it'll probably do better in a lot of other places. And we don't water, we don't so that with that soils being the way they are and the plants be able to survive long within the heat and without a lot of water, is that we only water once a month. Once our season gets going, I've seen our temporary beans. I even stretched them out to where they didn't get any water for a month and a half. So I think the key to some of that is our seeds, and in this particular case, our soils down there.
That was really interesting. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We have time for one more question.
Yeah, this is Aaron Sikakake. Noland told.
Hey,
Go ahead, Aaron.
I guess looking forward to apparently the Hopi tribe will be completely transformed. So we're not sure that can only dependent on
Aaron, you sound muffled when you're talking.
Hello. Yeah, Aaron. Hi. Yeah, I didn't understand. I can't really make out what you're saying. It's really muffled.
Okay, how's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I'm with the Hopi tribe, and up here on Hopi in northern Arizona, we do dry farming completely, and our total reliance on what nature can provide as far as moisture is concerned. Our temperatures reach the 90s during the summertime, and primarily corn of various colors, yellow, red, blue, white, are what we plant along with squash and beans. But also a lot of what Noland touched on is also what we do here. We have offerings, prayer feathers that are made for the cornfields. When we're done planting, the kids run the cornfields as a way of providing encouragement and a blessing of sorts, because the kids are pure. There's no dirtiness, if you will, inside the child. So as a token or a symbol of that, they use that as a purification for the plants to push through and be able to sustain and grow through the summer. So just a lot of what Noland talked about resonates here with Hopi, and I could speak more on the dry farming, but at this point, time's limited. So thanks for the presentation, Noland.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, I remember when we were in boarding school at Southwest, and I remember going home with you, and I remember going to your field, and we were in the truck, and you zoomed out to the field, and you hopped out, and you grabbed your little 410 shotgun, and you were shooting at birds, and I was like, wow, this is really nice. I had never seen anything like this before. It wasn't until we started farming down here, and I was like, man, me and Aaron are two peas in a pod, and I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate the but that's what I like too, is sharing, agriculture sharing, and tradition sharing, and see how much we're alike, because how much we can learn from each other. So thanks, appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah, I guess one more comment. With the drought and the climate changing, my family hasn't had a good harvest in the last 3-4 years. But again, going back to seed rationing, if you will, That's kind of the state we're in. We still have seeds as a family, but we're on this verge of having to ration it. But again, being able to help one another, seed share. And one of the biggest things that we're dealing with now are big game, deer and elk that are coming in and finishing off our crops before they even mature and have that opportunity to provide the seeds and sustainability for years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Aaron, for sharing. And Nolan, thank you for the presentation. We have people said thank you on the chat. For anybody that's interested, we do have another, this is one of 4 workshops. So we have another workshop next Thursday, and it's going to be with NRCS, with the region down here with Gilbert Tutu and Iris Francisco. We are, so I implore you to join in, or anybody that's interested in land and wanting help. The NRCS is a good source to apply for that could help you get land, write it up in black and white, exactly what you want, how you want it, submit it, and get also some of your equipment or needs paid for. So we just want to be able to make that available. So anyone else can join. We just want people who are interested, and this can go not just to farming, but also ranching as well. But yeah, we want to make that first available, and we just had our first in-person workshop series, which is hosted at the community garden at the Cells with Cells and Intermountain, who gave Cells District gave Intermountain a space right next to the rec center to grow out. Excuse me, to grow out food, to grow food. And so we use the space. We're partnering with Intermountain to use the space to teach about monsoon farming or monsoon gardening. And we're showing, we have another workshop this coming Wednesday. We're actually doing a cooking demo. So we want to learn how to cook with desert resistant crops like the tepary beans or the corn or squash. We will have a demo there this coming Wednesday from 5:30 to whenever. It's open to everyone. So if you are interested in learning how to cook traditional foods, and these foods that Nolan had talked about are available. We do have an autumn farmers market this Friday, starting at 3 p.m. and going to 6 p.m. So if you're in the area, come on out, support our vendors. Everyone's welcome. We also have another autumn farmers market on the 23rd. That's going to be at Santa Bria Co-op Farm too as well. And that will start from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So a lot going on. We have a lot of events. If anything, you can find us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can contact us through our website and our emails. Thank you everyone who came out and was a part of this workshop, and continue to come out and learn much more about farming and how it goes into this modern world, traditional agriculture. The workshop after that, we have Santa Bria Co-op Farm, who will talk about farming in Santa Bria. And our last workshop at the end of this month will be Michael Johnson, who works at the U of A, who actually has a dryland field up in Umotsova. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. And K-Town, near K-Town, in between the town and the veterans. He has several fields that he has planted and experimenting, pushing Hopi agriculture to another level. So, and we would love to connect with other dryland farmers. So thank you so much for everyone being a part of this, and everyone have a good day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.